dog training isn't the hat you put on when it's time to train. It's the outfit you embody 24/7. That's probably one of the hardest things for, it's definitely the hardest thing for pet people to understand is, you know, because they want their dog to be perfect 23 hours and 15 minutes out of the day, and then that 10 minutes they plan on training, and you know, that's all it should take. But I just want you to really, it was very realistic, and I want you to start thinking of training as a lifestyle. And I can see that some of you do, even from watching the dogs as they come in, and you're paying attention to who's in here and where your dog is and where this dog is or that dog is and how your dog's going to react. Some of you are thinking in terms of a lifestyle, and some of you are just thinking about your dog and not beyond your dog. I'm not pointing out anything, I'm also talking about experience too. From my experience, sometimes it's hard to look beyond our dog, and we have to realize that there is a bigger world out there. So my first, and if this is a little bit going too slowly for you, just kind of give me the speed it up sign. And if it's going too quickly, just be like, whoa, I got questions about that, okay? All right, so I think the treat ladder is something that trainers talk about a lot. But we tend to get stuck in the same place with our own dogs. I know that I buy or make the same treats over and over again, and I sometimes forget that, you know, I can pick up a sample of dog food somewhere or a piece of treat from somebody else. Sometimes my clients will hand me different treats, and I'm like, this is cool, I didn't know this was out there, what brand is this? So always be thinking about it in terms of treats, and remember that you're always working with the lower value, the lower the distraction is, the lower value treat you have to have, okay? So you can be using dog food for training new things in your living room, of course, and that we all get, but then when we get out into public, we forget just how exciting things can be for our dogs. Sometimes just opening that front door lets in a whole world of craziness that you need to all of a sudden move from dog treat kibble to bacon in just a snap, especially depending on how reactive your dog is, because some dogs kind of, depending on the situation, because everything is situational, they'll be not very reactive. You open the front door and they went from 0 to 60, and there might be other dogs that are stacking triggers that are coming in. So then they're like, yeah, it's okay, but I'm not comfortable. And you take 2 or 3 steps outside and they're like, I'm really not comfortable. And then all of a sudden a dog barks and a trash can falls over and your dog is out of their realm. So you have to have on your person a variety of treats or rewards that you can use for your dogs. What are some things, just out of curiosity, what are some things that your dogs So I kind of can't talk about my own stuff and look at how dogs react. So let's get some treats. Just start dropping them from the top of the kennel. Okay, stop. Gotta put a couple more in.
So mine does what's going on here.
Can you hand me that, can you hand me that blanket that's up there, or that towel? Yeah. Go ahead, put another one in there. For the small. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we should try it.
It's all right. Throw another treat in there. Not yet. And then the next time she barks a little bit, go ahead and toss that over the top. I don't know if she has an issue with Mary's rod over there. We'll have to find out since they're directly across from each other.
Oh, they kind of know each
No,
other.
well, we're
Do
at
they?
dog shows.
Okay.
This is the most she's barked now.
Oh, well,
We've been at dog shows
Yep.
all day, so
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and you guys, by the way, those of you that are showing and are out at dog shows and stuff, you're already way advanced from a lot of pet people. Some of you have a good understanding of dog body language and stuff, and some of you might not have as good of understanding. So I just want to kind of go back to some early beginnings and then move out from there. But I think the main thing, and this is, and I know that this is true, because it's true for me, I sometimes have to remember to make sure that I have some really high value treats on me, because I'll leave the house with my typical trail mix of dog food, dog treats that I think is going to be good, and then I forget that they're, go ahead and throw the blanket over the top there. And then I forget that maybe Easy Cheese should always be in my back pocket. So this is one of my favorite treats here in the car. So you want to think in terms of
Sure, I don't know.
always where you're going, what kind of trouble you might get into, and plan accordingly with the much higher value treats. This is important, and it probably seems kind of remedial, but when you have a dog that's reactive to anything at any time, anywhere, not like they are reactive to anything, anytime, anywhere, but if you have a dog that has reactivity at any given time, you gotta be thinking not in terms of the bottom of this ladder here. You always gotta be thinking in terms of those distractions are high, and you need to have some high value rewards on you, because if they're already reactive, you have a problem. You can't teach when your dog is over threshold. So, what are some other rewards, non-treat related rewards that you guys can think of for your dogs? Because all dogs are different. So I just want to throw some out there because it might help you other people consider what might be a reward.
Well, I don't know, well, this is a reward. I noticed, so when I have a newer to going to dog shows, I was just so like worried about keeping her away from other dogs and everything that I was and I found that touching her, she was calm.
So touching is a reward.
Yes.
Okay, and so then to add to that, perhaps a thunder shirt or an anxiety wrap might be a beneficial thing to have on her or with her, or even just a jacket or something, you know, a costume that you can put on her, because touch matters to your dog. It may not work for another dog. You put a costume on my dog, he's gonna go nuts. That will make him react. But for your dog, that's an important thing, so that's a good observation.
I've been asking other people to pet her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's down with it.
She's good. Awesome.
I can tell her that sometimes I can distract Ruby with a big little squeaky toy.
Okay, so the squeak is a reward to Ruby, or is it a distraction?
Both.
Okay. So you want to be aware of the difference between the two and how you're using it, because that's a tougher one to use. So, but it is valid. So if you're aware of which it is, the reward or the distraction, definitely a toy can be really
More
helpful.
of a reward to get her to jump or do something.
There you go.
So,
So yeah, okay. Anybody else with a butt rubs are awesome, yeah. And especially if your dog is not too short, if you have a taller dog, that you can get that butt rub in as you're going as the reward. That's really good. I can't bend that far, so sometimes you need to have like a telescopic butt scratcher.
There you go.
And that sometimes it's really a valuable tool to have. So you guys had some?
Frisbee.
Frisbee,
I
okay,
have
so you pull that Frisbee out and the dog's like, ooh, bonus, okay. Anybody else,
I develop praise words that are motivational to them, because I can use that in like the competition ring in between exercises
Yes.
for a reward.
right,
So when I train that, I start using the word with a high value treat, and then wean off of that, and they associate the word with the praise.
so the praise is the reward, the word is the
Yeah.
reward. Awesome is a good reward. Also, moving yourself away from the situation is a reward. Okay, so if you have a dog that's in a high stress situation and you take them away from that, that's a reward. probably the number one thing that, you guys all wanted me to help you with, and also the one thing that we haven't, recognized here, is just you acknowledging your dog's discomfort can be, I don't know if I would call that a reward, but it definitely lets them go, oh my God, somebody else understands this stress. Okay? So acknowledging, not you're okay. We never say you're okay. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We never say that unless it's not okay. Right? Your dog is already in stress by the time you say it's okay. Right? We're gonna go to the doctor, we're gonna get your immunizations. It's okay. No, it's not. It's not. But just saying, I got it, I got this. Kind of in a more authoritative instead of a coddling voice. More authority. I got this. I see what you got going on, and we're gonna move you away from this situation, and then we'll see if you're ready to come back into it. So use retreat as a reward. It's a huge one, it's a big one, and it's an important one. So I'm sure you guys can think of other rewards, but I just want to throw that ladder on there, the reward ladder on there, because I think it's important, and I think we forget the importance of it. And feel free to throw some stuff in here with me there, Bonnie.
No,
You know, do you have anything else? So, who's heard of the idea of a stress threshold? Anybody? Okay, not too many. Okay, so threshold, if you think about a threshold at a door, you cross from one space to another, right? Well, a stress threshold is when you're crossing from one level, comfort level, to another, okay? And we always want to keep our dog below threshold. So a definition is threshold is a point where the stimulus is at a strong enough intensity to cause a reaction. And I would say, or no reaction, or no response, okay? So in order to understand what threshold is, or to understand where your dog is with regards to threshold, you have to know what the baseline is. What does your dog look like when they're relaxed? You have to be able to identify it. So just throw out, just to go through this, we're not gonna spend a lot of time on this, because I got a lot of other stuff, but what are some of the, what are some things you observe about your dog when they're relaxed?
She rolls her hips, so she's laying, she rolls onto her.
So if she's laying down, she rolls onto her hip.
Or even if she's
Okay.
sitting, sometimes
She'll roll onto a hip, okay? Anybody else?
my dog, her mouth opens and she's like has a smile. I'd say she's
Right,
smiling.
the smile, the doggy smile. Sometimes the tongue is hanging out, but here's the weird thing about reading dog body language. None of these things can exist in a vacuum. They all feed off each other. So if another dog has its mouth open, but they're panting really hard, then that's a problem. So that was a good one to give you an example of.
I noticed her relaxation at home. She just gets this happy. And then when I was at the trial today, and then I got her and I started, petting her, giving her a butt rub, she had the same face that she had at home. So that's why
That's a good observation. Because that's what you want to know is how can you get your dog back to that place. So muscles sometimes, is your dog soft? They have a soft face and a smile on their face, and they also look relaxed. In some cases, your dog is rolling onto her hips, but I bet before she rolls onto her hips, her muscles look more like this, more like jello. And that's really important there because you can see it as it's happening. What were you gonna add?
I have a dobe, so tails are short, but
Yeah.
when she's relaxed or at least neutral, her tail is straight out.
Goes straight
Just
out.
straight
Okay.
out,
It
yeah.
doesn't pull up. And one person was teaching a seminar once, and they go, when the tail base comes up and the tail points at the mouth, you have a problem, right? So tail base is really what you want to look at. But yeah, when the tail is straight out, which would be true on a doe, but not necessarily a good thing, on a different dog. Would not be what I'd want to see on my German Shepherd necessarily. They need to have their tail down. Their base needs to be way down, but not tucked under. Ear sets. the bases of the ears, no matter if you have a prick-eared dog or a pendant-eared dog or a crop-eared dog, the ear sets, and also what they're listening to. Because the dog will tell you what they're listening to, right? And sometimes the ears work separately. Right? So they'll say, yes, I'm listening to you, Mom, assuming that they're healing, you're standing over here for healing. And, oh my God, I heard that noise over there, and now I'm going to focus back to here. So those ears are really important to look at. And if you're not looking at your dog, you don't know what you're seeing. So sometimes we get really happy about talking to our friends and stuff, or just being polite. I am one of the rudest people in Minnesota, because I'm not from here. But also, I don't care if you're talking to me. I do care, I listen, but I listen with my ear while I'm looking at the dog. I almost never am looking at the people I'm talking to, which is why I won't be able to identify any of you in Target later. So, and then of course their focus on you can be a difference. So breathing, their muscles, their eyes, how tight they are. Golden retrievers are great because they'll give you these muscles on their face get really tight when they're stressed. But just know what your dog looks like. And then I bet you guys can all tell me what your dog looks like when they're stressed, right? So here's the problem. What do they look like in between? You've got to be able to know what they look like in between relaxed and stressed, so that you can see those steps going up. And we have relaxed down here on the bottom of my stair steps, and then we have stressed way up here. And we are fine when they're down here, and we don't react to our dog reacting until they're up here. So the big problem is, so the big thing that you're looking for is down here. What's that second step look like? So I would encourage you guys to actually write out a few steps. What's in between? What do they look like? So take the worksheet home and later write down. This is what they look like when they're stressed. And also between a soft floppy-eared dog to, oh my God, I'm stressed and my ears are pointing forward and I want to eat the person in front of me, their ears might come up a little, they might come up a lot. You might have a very expressive eared dog that can do that in between flippy floppy things, prick-eared dog that sometimes is lopsided. Make note of all those steps so that you can look at your dog and go, there's a little bit of stress right there. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions so far?